Yeah, sure. I just was reading a little article that a new study came out today where 50% of Americans still own a teddy bear.
Mm-hmm.
40% of those Americans sleep with that teddy bear at night. And 60% of those people who sleep with the teddy bear at night still sleep with the childhood teddy bear that they had when they were a young person.
Okay.
So, if we were to work those statistics, one of the two of us sleeps with a teddy bear at night.
There's a 10% chance that neither one of us do because 40 and 40 is 80. So actually, there's a 20% chance that neither one of us do.
No, because 50% of Americans own a teddy bear. Sorry, own a teddy bear. Do you own a teddy bear?
No.
Okay, well, I don't either. I own a bunch of dogs that I sleep with at night. That's where I was going to go with that. Whatever. This is not a
Uh,
podcast about Travis's stompy nephew or teddy bears. It's about magical gatherings. This is Two Trolls in a Brew, episode 99, Lightning Strike. All
does
lowercase.
this count as a teddy bear?
I mean, yeah, sort of. Have you had that since you were a child?
If you were Satan as a child.
Whatever. Oh boy. I hear that movie's getting remade.
Yeah,
Sponsored.
if they allow it.
Oh no, I'm on board. I like the first one. I mean, I enjoyed the first one at least. I don't know if I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Don't watch it
Subtitle.
as an adult. Just remember it.
Oh yeah. Subtitle by Emma. So at episode 100, we're gonna switch to maybe a rotating GIF of the week and not just Emma. So bye bye.
Jeff.
Bye bye. Yeah, that's what I said. GIF. Troll cards of the week. Torment of Scarabs. That's the put in -1/-1 counter on a guy, right? When you make it,
Wait, did I do the right torment?
I think so.
Isn't
When
that the
you,
enchantment?
yeah, the enchantment when you put a -1/-1 counter on a guy, you get a scarab, right?
No.
That's not Torment of Scarabs.
No.
What are you thinking? I'm gonna look it up.
The 4-drop enchantment curse that
Oh, okay, that's it. You're right.
during.
Which one am I
Yeah, I was
thinking
like
of then?
pretty sure I was right. Anyways,
In that case, our troll card is the
so I
same
was
this week.
playing. Huh?
So in that case, our troll card is the same this week.
Oh, neat. So I was playing modern F&M, and I decided to, you know what? What makes 8-rack just a little bit more annoying?
Making them discard?
10 of them. And so I put 2 Tormenta Scarabs in there. And you know what 8-rack is, right?
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right, so since you don't know what it is, it
I
basically
just said sure.
revolves around the artifact, the rack, and the enchantment, Shrieking Affliction.
Right. The other
Deck
rack.
is just discard.
Right.
Yeah. So I decided to put 2 of the torments in there. On their upkeep, it's they discard, they sack a non-name permanent, or they lose 3 life, which is basically where the rack wants to be, anyways. Just complete board and hand disruption. And so I put 2 of them in there. The field, the game was just over. Like, anything they couldn't draw out of it, and basically it was the card is so busted and nobody knows it.
So normally I would 100% agree with you, right? And my games last Friday were not very good. But I had a really fun interaction. 2 of my 4 opponents had Torment of Scarabs. And
Nice.
the majority of the time they cast it on turn 4, my turn 3, right? So I would untap, take 3 damage, and I would play that black enchantment. Whenever you discard a card, you can pay 1 and drain somebody.
Okay.
I played it. Like, they would play that, I would play it. So it actually, and that's why it's my troll card this week, because every single time, Terry did it to me twice in the match. Remington did it to me 3 times in the match. And every time I was just like, okay, well, here you go. I'm going to play this. I'll take 3 damage this turn, and then you're going to take 2 damage every turn after that, basically.
Right.
So
I'm going to take 1 and you're going to take 2.
No, take none. Because you don't have to take damage if you discard a card.
Oh, yeah.
So instead of
Neat.
I took none. So instead of them like, I'm all in.
You played yourself.
They were like, I'm just all in on this enchantment. I'm just going to kill you. And I was just like, that probably would have had I didn't have this card. They're like, oh.
Right.
It was perfect. So I ended up going 2-2 right in the middle of the pack. Match 1 was kind of terrible. I don't even remember what happened. Game 2, I won easily. Game 3 or match 3, I was paired up against Remington, who was undefeated. So I just conceded so he could continue to be undefeated into round 4. And then round 4, I played Terry, who did the same thing, and I crushed him underfoot with the same thing. So, all in all, I think the secret is to have whatever that other enchantment is, which I forget right now.
Right.
But yeah, Torment of Scarabs is wicked most of the time, unless your opponent has exactly that card or exactly the
enchantment removal.
No, well, enchantment removal or the nest, the Drake Haven. Like,
yeah.
Because a lot of times when I play those kind of discard decks, I only have like 5 discard outlets, really. Like, I never quite have enough discard cards or cycle cards, so I have to play like these weird enablers. So you spending your turn to give me an enabler every turn is just like, thanks. I appreciate it. You're the best.
Right. Thanks for the help.
Exactly.
I know you didn't mean to, and you hate yourself.
Oh, exactly. So much fun. So how was your Friday Night Magic then? Did you win?
I took 3rd due to tiebreakers.
That's not terrible.
But I still won. I still won a fatal push, which is all I care about.
Yeah, I don't think we took one home this week.
You know what? I do have to vent, and
bring it on.
We actually reported our judge to like the regional person or whatever.
Right, that's a thing.
Yeah. So, on one of the events, they were trying to fire both standard and modern. And first of all, you can't hold an event unless there's at least 8 people.
That is correct. And have it be sanctioned. You can still hold an event, but it cannot be sanctioned with less than 8 people.
Okay, and how would prizes work with that? Or would there be any?
With a tournament that's not sanctioned?
Yeah, with just like 4 people. They tried to fire one with 4 people.
So when we at the arena don't have an event that fires under sanction, we don't give out the Friday Night Magic promos.
Okay.
It makes a lot of people mad, especially this 2 weeks ago. We had a standard tournament that didn't fire, and we had 2 drafts that had like we almost had 2 draft pods.
Yeah.
And yeah, at least one individual got really upset. He was trying to get the draft or the standard to fire, even at the point that he was like, it's a free tournament. So he was even trying to get random people basically to sign up for the tournament and just drop. So people who wanted to play could just get these in the top 8.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind at all. But when people are like, no, I don't really feel like signing up just so you can get a fatal push for free or whatever. because nobody else is going to play. And he just got super upset and left. And I thought that was kind of uncool. But, I mean, I know a lot of shops allegedly have just given them out anyway. But I'm really particular about the arena and potentially losing our premier status. You know, that's a big deal for our store. I don't want to lose it. So we adhere as strictly as possible to the WotC's rules.
Guidelines.
Yeah. So
anyways, so the standard event fired with like 12 people, and the modern event didn't fire at all, but he still gave out the 4 prizes. Like he gave out 4 fatal pushes, 1 to each of the modern players who tried to join. And then he just decided, you know what, we use this to give it to somebody, a 6th person in the standard event.
Okay.
And the judge, the entire time, he was like, we're going to pay prizes down to, we're going to do the top 5, and then we'll do the high-low roll for the last push.
Okay.
So everybody was cool with that. And like round 2, people's, they started dropping. They're like, well, I can't win, so I guess I'll just drop and blah blah blah. And then round 1, and like before the tournament started, round 1, round 2, the judge was like top 5, and then we're gonna roll, or then we'll give that last person. So he was doing that, and then at the very end, he hands out to the top 4. Like, okay, everybody, high-low roll. And then the person in 5th, he was like, why high-low? You said that top 5 will all get them. And then he was just like, no, I didn't. We're going to do high-low roll. And like he changed what he was doing once he realized that he wasn't going to get anything. So that way he just got a better shot of doing it. And this isn't the first time that he's done it. So that's why people were upset about it.
Right.
So we just we reported him for it. It's like you're manipulating the end result so that way you have a better chance of getting a promo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird line, right? Because when you do something like every week and you work for it, and I don't know what this guy's compensation is, if he's an official employee of the store, or does he get to work and play, or I don't know. But I know there's a lot of times that, because I do judge, and when able, I judge and play at Friday Night Magics. And I know there's a lot of times that I am really excited to get the promo. And I those are the weeks that I like try really, really hard to win. And then most of the time I'm just fine with it. But you have to be really careful in 2 areas when you're judging. And that is, 1, to always show or be neutral when you're making a judge ruling. Right? Yeah. And it's something that I've never felt like I struggled with. Personally, being impartial on judge rulings, but apparently showing that has been a problem. Like, there was I think a couple of times that people had called my judging into question, accusing me of showing favoritism towards like my wife, for example. And that's just not true. And, over the course of time, I bet you there's been more rulings against her with me as a judge than in my favor of her over the rules of the judge, because she's just not as familiar with the rules as other people. Like, I remember for a fact, one time, for example, she was playing that artifact that, like, whenever another creature came into play under your control, it woke up and turned into like a flyer or whatever. And she played it, and then she played like a 2-drop, and she's like, I attack you with my flying creature, thinking her artifact. And they're like, no, that's summoning sick. And she asked the question, she goes, the artifact says summoning sickness? I'm like, no. However, if they become a creature, the creature still has summoning sickness. So technically, everything does have summoning sickness when it comes into play, but it only matters if it's a creature. And she's like, I don't get it. And it took me probably a couple of times to explain it to her, to where she finally just got frustrated and was like, I'm done. So you have to be really careful as a judge to make sure that you are 100% unbiased and that kind of stuff. And then you also have to be extremely careful when you're handing out prizes and stuff. So, like, for example, like I said, I often get to play and judge.
Mm-hmm.
And probably half of the time, I'm the one that basically assigns the prizes, right? And normally what we do at the arena is first and second get the promo card, and then we roll off door prizes for the other two that we give out. And then I don't know why we saved the fifth one. I think it's just a quality thing. I don't know. That's just kind of my understanding of how it works. But then for the draft, we put a pack in per person. So depending on how many people, it's either my job or Chris's job or whoever's job to decide how many packs down we're going to pay to. And probably about half the time that's me, which means a reasonable amount of the time, because I supply between 2 and 4 people drafting or 5 people drafting, I'm often paying into my own prizes. So you got to be really careful on how you're divvying up product, and you got to make sure that illusion is there. And if you tell people something, you better stick with it. So, yeah, he could get in trouble. He might not. I have no idea. I hope whatever happens, he kind of gets at least a little bit of a shock awake, and somebody talks to him about it.
Well, and the thing is, it's like, so there's now 3 stores that we can play Magic at here in Rapid.
Okay.
And we have had numerous people just leave the big store. Like, the big store is where they hold all the game days, which I don't know if those are things anymore, and like PTQs and all that, the big tournaments, plus F&Ms, midnight pre-releases, all that stuff is held at the big store. We've had a lot of people leave and come to one of the other 2 stores now. And there is one day that one of the workers at the big store, he comes over to one of the smaller ones. He's like, hey, how comes everybody's, they left? Like, we've had just a decreasing amount of players every single week, and we don't really, we can't figure out why. And me being the brutally honest person that I am, like, well, look, majority of the people are just sick of these 4 people, and we don't want to deal with them, so we do not participate over there anymore. It's like, well, I understand, the 4 of you guys leaving, but that doesn't explain the other 7 to 10 players a week that aren't there anymore. I'm like, probably for the same reason. Like, we don't want to deal with that. We came here to have fun. We don't want, to be around all this salt all the time. If you're in a toxic environment and you don't want to be there, then you're not going to have good tournaments. And or is not going to do anything about it, then you're going to lose customers.
Yeah, again, as put on my other hat as community guy, right, for the arena. Maintaining a good shop environment is hard, especially if, like, you're trying to build it back up from, like, say it was down here before and you're trying to improve it, say with things like making sure people clean up after themselves. Shouldn't be very hard, right? But people have, for example, eaten their dinner and left their trash sitting on the back table for years before I started, like, as the community guy, asking people to clean up their trash.
Right.
Because the play area was in the back, and the guys working the shop were in the front. There wasn't a store employee in the back keeping an eye on things, right? So like that has recently changed, and that's helped. Or having people take care of stuff, having someone sit back there and be like, hey, you realize the fact that you're doing that to that chair, leaning back in the chair, for example, leads to a percentage of chairs being damaged, which doesn't sound like that big of a deal until you realize the reason why we can't have new chairs back here is because you guys break chairs. So why would we spend, $25 a chair to buy nice, comfortable chairs for back here when you guys break them?
Right.
Instead, we'll go to a garage sale and buy these $1 folding chairs that are crappy and you guys tear up. Like, it's you guys set the condition of the product or the stuff in the store, but they don't understand until someone tells them and reminds them week after week after week. Little
Right.
things like making sure the bathroom stays clean, making sure that when the floor is mopped, it gets mopped on a Thursday with lemony smelling stuff. So Friday, when people come in for Friday Night Magic, it still smells good. Because I'm sorry, Magic players tend to be out of shape, big, sweaty guys. And when you put 25 to 50 of us in a small room that's not necessarily the best ventilation, it's going to get stinky.
Not to talk shit on Kansas in general, but really, Salina is one of the few places that I ever experienced that at. I mean, yeah, every store is going to have their, stinky person, but
oh yeah,
even here, like, I think I only know of one person that always stinks, but he only shows up for the pre-releases, and that's it. Other than that, we just have people who occasionally smell bad, but that's if they can't get home before they have to come to play Magic, and they stink from work, and like
right.
most of them try to put deodorant on, and you can smell the deodorant, but your shirt still absorb all the stink.
Sure. So I don't have a sense of smell personally, so I really struggle with that.
Right.
But like, I take a shower on Fridays before I come to the shop. I put this stuff on. I'm apparently going to get some new different stuff here pretty soon to put on. And apparently my new migraine medication has a smell to it that smells pretty okay. So like I do the stuff I can.
Migraine medicine though?
Yeah, I'm trying something different.
Okay.
It helps the pain, but now I can't sleep. So instead of like a 7 pain most of the time, it's more like a 3, which is pretty good for when you live on a 7 most of the time.
Right.
So now instead of daydreaming about being accidentally killed in a car crash or held up in a robbery, now instead I'm like, well, I could just wish I could go to sleep. So I'll take it. But I realize it's a thing for a lot of people. And again, not to sound overly sexist, but I talk to my wife, my friends' wives who play cards. The main reason why wives, for example, don't stay back or don't learn to play cards or don't play cards at the shop. Like, they'll play cards at home. And they enjoy having a good time playing cards at home, but they go to the shop. The reason they don't want to go to the shop is because so-and-so is stinky. So-and-so is stinky. So we just started keeping deodorant at the shop.
Yeah.
We just have like spare deodorant. And when so-and-so is stinky, we just go over there and say, hey, go clean your pits and deodorant it up. And if you can't or you don't want to, you can leave.
Right.
Because again, those things add up. A one-time bad experience with a judge could lead to people not wanting to come to your next PPTQ. One bad person,
or F&Ms.
Or F&M. One bad person who shows up and treats someone like crap for the 3rd or 4th week in a row at Friday Night Magic boom, that person is gone. Like there's all these things that can add up, and unfortunately, the shop, if they don't have somebody back there to be like, hey man, you need to mellow out, or hey dude, you're a little stinky, you need to take care of this, or hey, you really can't be dropping f-bombs back here in the shop. That's just against what we kind of go for, you know. And we try, and I shouldn't say we, I try to keep it light, you know, so people kind of, they don't take it personally, or they don't take it painfully. I don't know. I try my best to encourage a clean, positive, and PG-13 environment at the shop during shop hours. After shop hours, I don't care anymore, you know. But I want you to have a good experience if you come in, because we have 8-year-olds learning to play Magic. We have, and then we have a siren going by. You know, we have all these people, and I want them to continue to play, because the more people that come and the more people play, the better the tournaments get, the better the prizes get, and if the shop stays clean and the equipment stays in reasonable shape when it's time to invest in new equipment, because you have to get new equipment, I can advocate a better investment. You know, but sometimes it's an uphill battle. So I would suggest, if the big shop really wants to improve and turn that stuff back around, they need to take a real hard look at people's complaints. I put out a questionnaire every so often. Usually about once a year, I put out a questionnaire about how we can improve things like pre-releases and PPTQs. And I have a slot in there in general, like grievances that still occur. And I put that stuff out there, and I try to get everyone to fill that survey out at least once a year, so I can be like, hey, these are the areas we need to improve in.
Right.
So I would suggest every shop do something like that. Now, sometimes you're going to get people who just, they don't like things. I have one guy who feels like he should, every Friday Night Magic should be all prize support goes to first place, because they feel like they're going to win every time. Or every pre-release should be like that. But the majority of the time, most of the people are like, hey man, I like the way you're doing this prize support, or I think this is really good, or thank you for, you know, telling so-and-so that he's stinky and he needs to be cleaned up before he comes and hangs out. So unpleasant as it is, sometimes as a shop you've got to step in and do something. Oh man, that's a good complaint, Travis. That was real good. Did you get all your grievance out? Do you feel better about it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to matter for anything?
For that shop, no.
That's sad. I wish they would learn.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're the ones that's going to keep losing customers, so it's not really my issue.
That's true. I mean, you can always go someplace else.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially now that we have 3 shops, like I go to now, one of the smaller ones, it fires every Monday and Friday. Like Thursdays are kind of like up in the air. But then not only that, is like Force of Will tournaments, and then like, was it Tuesdays is Modern that fire every now and then. Wednesday is like Commander / free for all, you know, whatever people want to bring. And like the only day that nobody does anything is Sunday, and that's because shop's only open for like 5 hours.
Yeah, sounds like this little shop has cultivated its audience well and is doing a good job to maintain its environment. Hopefully they won't get big and develop problems. So.
Oh, they won't have problems even if they get big, because the person who runs the shop for the owner is actually incredibly level-headed, and he always does what's best for the customers instead of what's best for him.
Well, and that's probably really good until he needs help, and then he ends up hiring somebody who isn't as level-headed or is the best for the shop. You know what I mean?
Oh no, we've already discussed that amongst ourselves. Like during the school year, he has one of the college kids who is incredibly level-headed, and he actually is. He plays Force of Will and Magic, so he hosts all the Force of Will tournaments. Works basically Wednesdays and Saturdays. The other person who is basically a friend of the owner is before the person who's running it now as a part time. Just he basically just uses his job there to uh, events and get prizes.
Right.
Because he doesn't like need the job. He just wants it just so it's cheaper for him. And then like he already said that if he hires anybody else, it would be like me or someone like me who has a good uh, relationship with most of the players, hold a grudge against anybody, and I know sports, so I can deal with the sports side of it too.
Man, I'm all about that sports ball and the goal scoring.
Yeah, apparently that stuff is dying down.
Yeah, probably. I just want to say real fast that everything can change. Anything can change. Any shop can change. And I feel like you really got to be careful to communicate with your customers and help them. Times of a shop basically dictating the situation is gone. That is over. For example, right now there's a new shop opening in Manhattan, relatively nearby, that's run by the guys in McPherson. So that's a little more than 100 miles away, give or take. It's close enough. It's like an hour and a half if they have to go back to the home store or whatever, but that's still pretty, reasonably far away. And I would say that the shop that we team up with there, Goblin Games, for like PPTQs and certain other events, is one of the best shops I've ever seen. It's the guy is a Magic player. He built the shop for Magic players. He's a gamer through and through. Everything about it's about building his community, right? But they always kind of leaned more towards competitive Magic than casual Magic. And they were okay with casual Magic, but like something like Commander, which is a format that I give this much F's about, absolutely zero, right? But for the shop, if someone's like, hey man, I'm interested in a Commander League, boom, let me help you. I'm there. I may not be interested in it personally, but I'll make it happen. You want to have a Commander League? Boom, here's some rules. You want a Friday Night Magic Commander duels heads up? Boom, we'll put one on the schedule. Like, I'll do it. If you're gonna support that format, I'll do it. And they've always been the opposite. They're just like, no, Commander doesn't do anything for us. Who cares? Whatever. Well, Commander is a format that these other guys are heavy into, and they're serious promoters of Commander, for example. And once they announced that this new shop was opening in Manhattan, and the location is actually probably better than the other shop's location, right? And that's due to financial, like, it's stupid expensive. It's a college town, one of the bigger towns in Kansas, or cities in Kansas. And anywhere near the school is going to cost you a ton of money. And they're investing in this location, right, by getting a really good spot downtown next to the school, etc. So the location is really good. And he's like, well, the location, and they support this format, we have to support this format now first. So they're like bending over backwards. They're paying premium for Commander singles. They're selling Commander singles for very little profit, from what I understand. They started holding a league and Commander pod tournaments, and they're doing Ready Fire pods, and they're doing all sorts of stuff to cultivate that community that they've kind of ignored. And the other shop is better at hosting, because what happens is people start playing Commander over there, and they decide they like it better, and it's better location, So you've got to be careful. You got to change. You have to adapt as a shop, and sometimes it's not easy.
Right. Well, and that's why the shop that I go to it has its set tournaments for selling and everything. It's like Monday is always going to be a draft. Who knows? It's basically whatever people who show up, like we can vote on it. We're like, yeah, all right, it'll be this. But then if there's a draft on a Friday night, it's always going to be like the most recent sets.
Right. Well,
Um,
part of the reason is because you have to, for Friday Night Magic, you have to schedule the format in advance.
right.
So I don't think there's a lot of checking on that, but I know that if someone were to complain, like, hey, I went to the arena and they were supposed to have a standard, or they're supposed to have a Kaladesh draft, but when I got there, instead of Kaladesh, they ended up doing Amonkhet draft instead.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a good reason, so then they complain. I know that Wizards of the Coast has the they can penalize you for stuff like that. So you have to be careful. But like on a Monday, that's not a Friday Night Magic sanctioned event, and you just sanction it as it happens. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the same thing. Like, I've had enough people ask me about Frontier. I poo-pooed it for a long time, and then I got all excited. Now I'm like super excited. Now it's like my favorite format ever, I think. I haven't even got to play a tournament yet. It's I don't know. I'm excited.
Pretty sure I told you about it last year.
I know. And what did I say last year? I said, whatever.
Yeah, because you're a stubborn jack.
I am a stubborn that thing. Speaking of super excited, let's hit just a few Ixalan and Iconic Master spoils. And I know you're probably not excited about anything because you're a cold, jaded man.
Yeah.
So
I do like the color green.
You do like the color green. So Legion's Landing came out. 1 white for a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you get a 1/1 white vampire lifelink thingy. And when you attack with 3 or more creatures, you transform it into a land that taps for a white, and also for a white and 2 mana and tap it, get to make a white lifelinking vampire. I think this card is sweet. I'm super excited.
I think they actually did really well with all the lands.
All these flip cards that turn into lands.
Yeah, well, the artifacts and enchantments that turn into lands that do extra cool things.
Yeah, these flip cards are very exciting, I think. In particular, other flip sets have been okay, but these I really, really like.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that aren't really that difficult to flip over when you want, like, the controllable flippers. Like this one, where it's attack with 3 guys, turn it over. Like, it's pretty easy for you to decide if you're going to attack with 3 guys or not.
Yeah.
So,
especially if you're playing a token deck.
Right. 100%. And it fits in real good with, like, Brawl's expertise and no, not Brawl's expertise, the white expertise, Shram's expertise and Shram and all that stuff. Like, I think there's a lot of good synergy in here. I don't know if we talked about this. Yeah, we did. Never mind. Did we talk about favorable winds yet? Is that a card that we talked about? The enchantment that gives your creatures with
flying. Isn't that the reprint?
I don't think so, right? Is it?
Yeah, the 2-drop enchantment. Yeah, it's a reprint.
Oh man, I didn't know it was a reprint.
Yeah, I'm because really there's a in Modern right now. There's a Jeskai Flyers deck. Manus Rider,
right,
and favorable winds.
Well, and again, I didn't know that was a card, but some of the stuff that I looked at for Frontier was actually using there's a 2/3 flash creature with flying. It gives all your guys. It's a flying lord.
Okay, keep going with your thing.
Well, I was just gonna say I got kind of excited because of the flyers, like you said, Mantis Rider, that guy, perhaps favorable winds. Like, a lot of these things look really exciting for the new format here.
Right. So, just the favorable winds actually brings me to the title of the show.
Lightning Strike? Okay.
Lightning Strike. I don't know if I told you this or not, but one of my friends, he was at the shop like the day that Lightning Strike was announced. He did the only thing that a troll can do. He went through every single box that had like we unlike the arena, the shop has all of the sets separated, and people generally do a good job of keeping them separated.
Which is the difference between every place else in the arena.
Yes.
Carry on.
So he went through every single row that had any of the two printings of Lightning Strike.
Okay.
Them all.
He bought
and then
all of the lightning strikes?
Yeah, he took all of the Lightning Strikes.
Okay.
And then he ripped them up after he bought them. So,
Why?
because now everybody has to either dig through the set or they have to order them online. Because the shop that we're at is the only place that has, singles like this. And now Lightning Strike is being reprinted as an uncommon, so it's going to be harder to find.
That seems like extra petty. I don't know.
Yeah, and we were laughing the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Why not do the same thing for Duress? Or Opt? Man, people are super excited for this Opt, by the way.
Because who cares?
Oh man,
we got the Lightning Strike, and we know that that's going to be harder to find.
Okay.
Yeah, because Opt, Duress, and Spell Pierce are all going to be printed as commons again. So screw them. Whatever.
Okay. So what you're telling me is I need to send you all my Lightning Strikes.
If you feel like it, I don't care.
Just like a box of like 1,000 Lightning Strikes. Show up.
That would be funny as shit.
You're like, I've got all the Lightning Strikes. If you want some,
who needs Lightning Strikes?
$1 each.
$1 a piece. Yeah.
Or you could wait 3 to 6 days for delivery from Amazon.
Right.
So the other card that came out, I think earlier this week, and I'm pretty sure the full spoiler's probably up. Friday, another day by the time the podcast comes out. But Spell Swindle has come out this week, and at our shop, this spell alone made Tezzerets get purchased. The 4-mana Tezzerets. Like we had 7 of them, I think, or 8 of them. I believe they're all purchased now because of this card. So Spell Swindle is blue, and 3. Instant counter target spell. Create X colorless treasure artifact tokens, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. And of course, we know basically treasures are lotus blooms. So this spell basically sold out Tezzerets. So people are putting together sweet black-blue control lists with things like Battle at the Bridge and Tezzeret and Spell Swindles. And I think it's great. I'm on board. And I think Nathan actually may have sent in a list along those lines that we'll get to later. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited for it as well. Other things that I'm kind of excited for, not a lot, actually. I think we kind of talked about most of them that kind of got me excited last week. However, Iconic Masters was spoiled this week. And it feels like, once again, Wizards of the Coast is shooting me right in my ball sack. Some of the things that are getting reprinted are things that I was like holding back to sell. And now I'm afraid the price is probably just going to fall out of them. Things like Ancestral Visions, Cryptic Commands. I'm trying to think here. There was like 5 cards that I was like, oh, they're going to, right before I sell my cards, they're going to print this and basically completely demonetize my cards. I'm just scrolling through here. Magus of the Moons. Is there another one real quick? Like one more big one? Just give me one more big one that I was looking at that I was all excited for. I don't know. Whatever. Mishra's Baubles. There's another one. Should sell that S now. So yeah, I was a little annoyed at Wizards of the Coast for killing my things until they spoiled Mana Drain. I don't have a playset of Mana Drains, and I'm kind of excited to get one.
The art for that looks amazing.
I think it does look pretty good. Like the swirling vortex eating your red lightning bolt spell into my swirling vortex. It's pretty good. But yeah, Mana Drain's just a spell that I've always wanted to play with. A couple of my friends have some, and when I played those decks, it's just been so much fun. But the rest of the set, I could live without them printing. I feel like it's again just shooting my collection right in the foot.
Right, like I didn't really care about it because it doesn't seem to me like it's what do you call it? Unbalanced?
Unbalanced. What do you mean?
Isn't that the next unset?
Oh, something like that. I'm not sure. So the only set of Magic you're going to get excited for is the unset now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can be pretty excited about some other things. Do you have your playset of what? Glimpse the Unthinkable. That's one of the cards that's getting reprinted.
Nah.
Do you have your playset of Aether Vials? Because I have a whole bunch, and now they're worthless. I don't know. I don't know. It's irritating. It's irritating, Wizards. Make new Magic cards. Stop stealing my good ones. Or at least wait until after I sell them. So our financial guy, Sean, who was on, I don't know, several weeks ago, I kind of cried about it a little bit on Facebook in response to somebody else's post. I'm like, yeah, I feel like Wizards shooting my set in the foot. He's like, yeah, about a month ago, I sold almost all the cards that they reprinted. I just felt this great disturbance in the force. I'm like, you bastard. So
yeah.
All right,
he's good at that.
Well, that's what he does, right? He's the financial guy. So let's take a quick look. Nathan sent us a deck to look at here. Ornithopters, Contraband Kingpins, Weaponcraft Enthusiast, Angel of Invention, Scarab God, Tezzeret the Schemer, Battle at the Bridge, Fatal Push, Servo Expedition, Authority of the Consuls, Hidden Stockpile, Hostage Taker, which is probably moving up the list of my favorite cards, and Deadeye Plunderers. Yeah. Deadeye Plunderers gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And then lands. I think this is a good place to start. I thought there was going to be some counterspell in here, but I don't see it. He must have kind of wiggled his way back over to more of a colorless, creatureless-esque deck. But looks good.
So
I think there can be some switches later. What do you got?
So as far as like the artifacts go or whatever, creatures that interact with artifacts in Tezzeret.
Right.
I'm gonna be putting in 2 or 3 Marionette Masters. And then instead of making 3 servos, I just put the 3 counters on him. And then like sacrifice all of my tokens to make a ton of mana. Like really you need to sacrifice and it kills them.
Right. Because that's the guy who's like a 4, like he'd be a 4/5 or something, right? No.
He'd be like a 4/7.
4/7.
Yeah.
For like 6 mana.
Yeah.
And then whenever an artifact dies, your opponent loses a life.
Yeah.
For each point of tough or life he has or something. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. I like where this is going. I also really like the idea of it. To me, it's a lot like the Clue deck that I kind of designed and played around with a couple of months ago. where I played the artifact that makes all your artifacts tap, but I was generating all these clues. Now they kind of generate they can become their own sacrificial mana, and I think that's kind of cool.
Right.
I also had the feeling that you can do that inspired sanctuary and these things to do the similar things. So I think using artifacts mana for mana and cheating out extra stuff is going to be really cool. And I'm kind of excited to see what happens. Like I personally have the feeling that Panharmonicon is going to make a comeback because of cards like this.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, if all of a sudden you play a creature and you make 2 mana of any color instead of 1, like now you're halfway to paying off your thing, your Panharmonicon. Like it starts to make slots up very easy. So I'm excited to see it. I think a lot of people are also excited. So I want to take a minute. I don't have a deck list in mind or in front of me, but I have some things that kind of have come to mind, and I wanted to bounce them off your head. Specifically in the last 2 to 4 weeks, I've been really exploring what's possible in Frontier. And in the process of putting together the black-green +1/+1 counter matter deck, Remington and I noticed something, that Hangerback Walker is a construct. Walking Ballista is a construct. All your artifact creatures get +1/+1 Lord is a construct. The 2/1 Shapeshifter that you name a thing is a construct. There are a lot of really interesting constructs available in Frontier, and I kind of want to look at doing either green-black, modify the +1/+1 counter decks to be more construct focused.
Okay.
Which could be a possibility, or it could just go straight up in like a red blue shell, right? That uses man, the dogs are going to really piss me off in a second. That takes advantage of cards like Shrapnel Blast and the Lightning Strike, or the Lightning Bolt, but you have to sacrifice a creature from cons. And more stuff like Hangerback Walker, Giant Scissors, I forget what it's called now off the top of my head. The enchant artifact to make it into a 5/5. Artifact lands.
And Soul Artifact?
In Soul Artifact, thank you. And of course, the come into play tapped land colorless creature comes into play with an extra 1/1 counter. Like, I think there's probably just like this sweet brown, potentially brown deck with like splash, red for this spell, red for that spell. And if it's going to be brown and you're already splashing red and blue, you can make it even cheaper in so many ways. I don't know. I wish I could have got enough interest to be excited about Frontier 6 months ago, because I think that there's just so much depth to this format. I've been looking at an all spells list that basically is just a burn deck plus Dynavolt Tower. When you start looking at it, there's just a ton. You also, if you just use the token stuff, like you can do red-white tokens, super easy, and they're all spells. And again, you can run Dynavolt Tower in that. Because once you look at the fact that you have Lightning Strike, 2 shocks that have different names, the 4-mana burn spell for 3, the 4-mana burn spell for 4 but Convoke. I thought there's at least 2 more. You don't need very much more to like make things happen. You don't even have to run Dynavolt Tower. If you want, you can run the Archer from last week and the untap guy that taps to do 1 point of damage. Like there's just so much stuff. You can run Brawl if you want to lower the mana cost by 1 of all this stuff. Those are all instants and sorceries. It can be blue, splash blue. Like I'm super incredibly impressed by the depth of this format, and I really want everyone out there to give it a shot. I think this for me is much more fun than Modern, because it's small enough that I can look at all the cards and put things together. And unlike Modern, it came together at a time where, for me at least, it's small enough I can explore, and then as it grows, I should be able to keep up with it. Where Modern is just, once I came back to Magic, it was too big, and it's just too daunting. Like I can buy into a deck and learn the meta and be okay, but you can't. As a brewer, I feel like I have to make my own decks to really get into a format. And I think Frontiers is that perfect straddling point for me. So you were right.
Would you like to hear a Modern deck that I'm working on?
Yeah, if you have a Modern deck that you're working, is that what you're sleeving up right now?
No, just gold fishing with Borgamos.
Okay. Totes legit, yo.
Okay. So, you know how Scape Shift is a pretty big deck in Modern and everything?
Sure.
So, I'm currently working on a budget version. And I say that because instead of using Scape Shift, I'm using Splendid Reclamation.
Okay.
And really, instead of ramping up, I'm just, dredging.
So is this
it's
like what we
essentially
were talking about last week?
It is, but I've changed it. Like the Seismic Assaults are going to be in there for obviously discarding the lands into the graveyard to get back later to kill them with Valakut. I think I've taken out all of the black entirely.
Okay.
And it's just red splashing green for Splendid Reclamation. And in the sideboard, I'm splashing green for like Destructive Revelry and Neutralize. But other than that, yeah, it's basically mono red using dredge. And
So what's your dredger in red?
Well, I guess I'm using a Golgari Grave Troll.
Okay.
So I guess that's also green, but it's irrelevant. I'm never going to play it.
Don't say never. It could become the way that you have to win a game once.
Well, considering my only creatures in the deck are going to be Insolent Neonates, I certainly hope not, because then it'll be like a 5-mana, probably 4/4, hopefully 4/4.
I'm telling
on turn
you,
like 5.
I'm telling you, I've been in games where you've taken an enabler, thinking I'm never going to use that enabler to win the game, and sometimes you have to.
Well, I figure Insolent Neonate's a good early game. Because if they tried to kill it, it's just kind of like,
okay,
no,
let's do this thing.
Let me feed my yard. Right. Hold on. In response to you trying to kill my Insolent Neonate, I'm gonna throw this Golgari Grave Troll in the graveyard, and then dredge 6 and put them back in my hand.
So you're using, I assume, like Tormenting Voice or Cathartic Reunion. You got your lands, you have your enchantment, you have your spell. I'm trying to think what else you could have in there that might be really good. Is there a spell that lets you play 2 lands a turn? Like an exploration? Is it in Modern?
Well, yeah, Explore is Modern legal. I'd have to use like Rites of Flourishing or Azusa.
Oh, Azusa.
But I don't. Huh?
I said Azusa would be okay. The red. I know you probably don't want to have any more creatures in your deck because that's part of the thing. But there's that relatively new red green 4/4 for 4 that lets you play an additional land each turn. And then you also have like return a land to your hand to do something.
Oh yeah, Mina and Den.
Yeah, like that might be okay.
Neat. I didn't even think of that.
Especially if you have like some value lands, like that green land that makes a 0/1 token in case you need to like tutor for something or block for a turn.
No, I don't have those.
Okay. You don't have those, or you don't have value lands?
Value lands.
Okay.
I have the fetches, but that's about it.
Well, I was going to say, if you were to run, like, you could possibly even run a Sylvan Scrying package.
Yeah.
Right? No?
Yeah, no, I could.
Well, I'm just, in this way, you could have, like, one of each of these really good lands in your deck that you could use.
Right.
I mean, just to give you some additional value. I mean, getting them into your graveyard is great, and just getting to play them all back is awesome. But like, maybe you do need access to one Blighted Fins, because like, why not run, like a gold land in your deck?
Right.
Activate like a Blighted Fins, or a. Does the green sacrifice one that gets 2 lands? Does it get any land?
I think it's. Are you talking? Yeah, I think the Blighted Woodlands. I think it just gets too basic.
Is it too basic? So that wouldn't be so good.
But I could throw an Hour of Promise.
Well, that was the other card I was going to suggest. Especially if you're running like any of the desert lands, like as a singleton or whatever. This way, like, maybe sometimes you do get 2/2s just to
Right.
get fog. Or not, or you just go get, something, just like regular old lands. Like, I really just need bait or fetch lands. I just need 2 more so I can like go crazy this turn. So I don't know. It sounds cool. I'd like to see your completed list when you have it done, and version 1 that you're happy with and you want to put it on the website.
Right. It should be up here shortly. I don't know.
Timothy,
I'm still working with it.
Timothy here in the chat says, any thoughts on the upcoming Ixodon set and how it could change standard? We talked about it quite a bit in the middle of the show here, but I think Indomitable Creativity plus Dinosaurs is going to be a lot of fun.
Right. I think that Metalwork Colossus is going to slow down, so I may have to work on a new deck.
Okay, that's kind of a bummer for you. And I think what's the red, green, white? Nissa? No. Naya?
Naya?
Naya tokens. It's going to be pretty cool. That's my gut. But we'll have to just wait and see.
Honestly, I'm going with black-white tokens.
Black-white tokens might be okay too.
And I'm not even saying that because of like creature tokens. I'm saying that with treasure tokens.
Okay, with black-white, not black-blue treasure tokens?
No, black-white, because Anointed Procession.
Okay. Like you said, we looked at Nathan's deck earlier. That was going to be Esper tokens. So I think that control is going to step up a little bit, and aggro is going to come down just a hair. So he follows up with overall gameplay, more aggro, control, other strats. I definitely think that there could probably still be room for a Fling a Colossus at your face deck. I think Fling in general might become very good. I'm not sure. But I definitely think that the red aggressive deck is still going to be there.
So speaking of blue, black, and Fling, there's that 4-drop creature. It gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control.
Right.
Different ability that is irrelevant to me because I can Fling.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that's like Colossus number 8.
Right, that'd be okay. Having a few more Colossi in your Colossus deck. Isn't there a red creature that it's like a 2-mana 2/2 haste, but it makes a... Oh my god. Pages with audio-based ads. Please stop. I can't even look at spoilers now because of those stupid ads.
Sure you can. Just play it, and then we'll go over it. Just talk louder.
We'll just send him a bill.
Yeah.
Just be sure Eldrazi zombies are dead. Well, Eldrazi has to leave, right? Zombies, I'm not sure will have to die. But
the zombies have never really been a threat to Colossus.
Right, not the Colossus deck. I think he just means standard in general.
Oh.
Is it control and mono red decks should still be fine. I believe that's to be true. And I think the red aggressive deck is going to be even stronger, actually.
Well, yeah, and I think the reason that the red decks are favored over the zombie deck is because magma spray.
Yeah.
Like,
I
you're
think
like,
that's probably
oh,
true.
look at this guy that can come back over and over again, and you're like, no.
Go away. Thanks for stomping real good, kid.
Are you sure he's not just jumping?
He's not just jumping.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I don't know. For the most part, I think it's going to be a whole new world. To be sure, I think you're going to have.
Well, yeah, it's a
combo
completely
decks.
different set.
Right, but I mean, I think you're going to have new combo decks. I really think losing the enchantment that makes all your creatures into Birds of Paradise is going to be weird. Like, I know a lot of people aren't excited about that card anymore, but I think that was probably one of the best cards to build around. And I will probably be trying to use it in Frontier pretty heavily and potentially in Modern. So we're going to see what happens. All right. As always, you can check out full episodes at samusgrobo.com. You can check out our various Twitch and Twitter pages, twitch.tv/samusgrobo, twitter.com/samusgrobo, turtlepower319. You can send us an email to the number 2trollsbrew@gmail.com. I don't know. Anything else you want to add here, buddy? Old chum, old pal?
No.
All right. Well, then how about you end with this?
Did you see that one creature that's awesome?
Way to narrow it down.
The red guy. He's what you call it? Active treason on a stick.
I did not.
Yeah, he's like I can't remember how much he cost, but he's a 4/3, and for 4 mana, active treason something. But you have to do it at sorcery speed.
I mean, it's okay. But
I think it's going to be awesome.
Well, so I don't know if you remember this.
I don't.
But I put together that like red active treason-esque fling deck, where basically it ran the 3 mana one, and then you got to cast a 2 mana spell for free.
Right.
And then it also ran like the 2 mana steal a creature fling, or not fling, but steal a creature.
Yeah,
and
Wrangle.
Then, yeah, Wrangle. And then a couple other things with the idea that I would be able to be super aggressive and potentially like combo out. So I think there's probably room for a creature like that, especially if you're going to run 4 flings in your deck with the purpose of killing their creatures. I think that's really strong.
Well, see, and I remember the last time I used a fling combo, the last time it was standard legal, I used it with, it was red-black, and it was from First Innistrad, where basically you stole their creatures and you either used fling or altar, like one of the altars where you sacrificed a creature and you drew 2 cards or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. I think we need something a little like that, but I don't know. Oh, hang on, real fast. The other construct that could go in this construct deck, I forgot to mention, and it may or may not be the thing for you. Scrap Heap Scrounger is a construct.
Okay.
So you have like 5 insane constructs, plus you're already black-green, so you can already regrow your stuff.
Yeah. Have you thought about Metallic Mimic in the deck too?
That was the thing I was talking about. That is
zoning out. I just kind of hope that we're on the same page most of the time, and then I just kind of hope that all of our listeners are like, oh sweet, Travis is on. Travis has got this on point, and then it's like, yeah, dude, he totally said something. Did you see all that stuff I was playing with over here? Like I was doing the thing, I was counting change, and there we go.
Huh? What? Sorry, I wasn't listening. Troll on, everybody!
Troll on, bye.
I got the zinger this week.